BMOP Production Studios in the beautiful state of Arkansas, you're listening to the Shattered Podcast with your host, Elias.
Today, I have joining me Cynthia Martin.
Yes.
With CASA, you're the program director.
Yes.
And Yuliza Aguirre.
Yes.
And you're the volunteer coordinator.
Yes, I am.
Okay, very good. I'm excited about doing this podcast today because you are in desperate need of volunteers.
Yes.
CASA stands for
Court-appointed special advocates.
For abused and neglected children.
Yes.
Okay. Cynthia, how long have you been a program director?
I was hired as the assistant program director in 2007 and promoted as the program director in 2008.
Very good. Mm-hmm. And you are the regional director, so what areas does this cover?
We cover Polk, Montgomery, and Sevier counties. Okay. Yes.
Yuliza, you live here in DeQueen.
Yes, I do.
And how long have you been a volunteer?
I've been the volunteer coordinator over 2 years, I think.
Very good.
A little bit over 2 years.
Mm-hmm. So let's first just talk about what type of volunteer work do you need?
More than anything, we need volunteers for our children. Our program consists of, we're a volunteer organization, and what we do is we advocate for children that are in the foster care system.
Yes.
So what that means is when, let's say an investigation occurs, you think that your neighbors are abusing their children, you call the hotline. DHS or CACD, Crimes Against Children Division, will go out and investigate. If they feel like the children are in imminent danger, they will remove them from their home. Within approximately a week's time, they have to go in front of the judge and explain why they felt like the children were in imminent danger and they had to be removed from their home. Right. At that hearing, the judge will either approve the removal or say no, he didn't feel like he had grounds. Well, 99% of the time, of course, he feels like they have grounds. At that hearing, he will officially open the court case and he will appoint a CASA volunteer to the children. CASA volunteers basically make sure that these kids don't fall through the cracks of the foster care system. It is so traumatic going through not only the abuse that caused these kids to come into care, but it's traumatic having a stranger show up at your house and remove you from your home.
Absolutely.
So when these kids come into foster care, they have this caring adult, this CASA volunteer, that is by their side the whole time they're in foster care. We remain with that child until they find permanence. Either the parents have remedied whatever situation caused their children to come into foster care and they get to go home, or say a relative takes custody and becomes the guardian, a grandmother, aunt, uncle. And then in our worst cases, termination occurs. And those children will stay in foster care until they're adopted, and their CASA volunteer stays by their side until they're adopted. So, we don't like it, but if they age out of foster care, they will have that volunteer until they leave foster care.
So the CASA volunteer, do they go to the foster homes weekly or whatever and check on the child during the time they're in foster care?
Yes, absolutely. They're required to visit at least once a month.
Once a month?
Yes, exactly. So we are regularly checking on the children. We can visit them at school. We'll follow through with teachers, and see how they're doing. We make sure that their needs are being met. We make sure that if they're struggling in some area, we advocate to try to remedy whatever that situation is. Right. So we are going to be in regular contact with the foster parents, therapists, doctors, DHS, school teachers, anyone and everyone involved in that child's life. And then we will report to the judge and let the judge know how the child is doing and if we feel like there's anything that they need. Now, in the meantime, we're also staying in contact with DHS. If we feel like the child needs something, we're advocating for that to DHS and their attorney. There is a wonderful attorney ad litem in this county named Laura Lindley. And she does a great job representing the children in court.
Right.
We are kind of almost her eyes and ears because
Absolutely.
she doesn't have the time that we have to spend with the kids.
Right.
She has a huge caseload as well as private work that she does. CASA volunteers typically only have 1 or 2 cases at a time, so we have a lot more time to visit these children regularly. We also keep up with what the parents are doing. So we are staying in contact with DHS. We will visit the parents, we'll find out, are they going to rehab? Are they testing positive or negative on their drug test? Has mom gotten away from her abusive boyfriend? Whatever the situation may be. If it's an environmental neglect case, is the home getting cleaner? Are the animals out of the home if that was an issue?
Right.
Not that we have anything against animals being in a home.
Right.
But sometimes if you have, 25 dogs
Right.
and they're not house trained, then that becomes an issue.
Right.
So, whatever the case was that caused the children to come into care, we're ensuring that, that is being remedied as well. And that will play a part in what will ultimately be our recommendation. Parents are given 1 year to follow a case plan that DHS has set up. And at the end of that year, we are supposed to make a recommendation to the judge as to what we feel like is the best permanent solution for that child, whether it's to go back home or stay with a relative or possibly be adopted.
So if you become a CASA volunteer, from the time you start overseeing the child, it's about a year.
Typically, cases last about a year.
you're
Occasionally
involved.
shorter. We'll have parents that jump through hoops and get their kids back a lot sooner.
Right.
Occasionally longer. Sometimes we'll have parents that don't do a whole lot in the beginning, and then
Right.
they start really working hard, and they'll extend that year out in those situations. It's not a matter of, boy, if you haven't done every little thing in
Right.
1 year,
Right.
they're going to terminate your rights. They don't do that. But typically, yes, we ask the CASA volunteers to commit to 1 year. And that way, this child will have that consistent adult throughout by their side throughout the case. If the child, say, termination does occur on the case and the child stays in care longer, then we'll sit down with the volunteer and say, do you feel like you can remain on this case longer? They've always said yes. Of course, at that point, they're attached to the child and they don't want to walk away from them. So typically they do. But yes, we ask you to please commit to a year.
Do you have any percentages of how many kids are in this county, Sevier County alone, that's under CASA care right now?
We are advocating for, I want to say approximately 20 children in Sevier County right now. And we have approximately 10 children that are unserved, that don't have the benefit of a CASA volunteer.
So you're desperately in need here in Sevier County.
Desperately.
Because you're probably run pretty thin right now.
Yes. We want a CASA volunteer for every one of these children.
What are the qualifications to become a CASA volunteer?
Well, you need to love kids. You need to have a heart for wanting to help them. You have to be at least 21 years of age. And there's no special education required. We will train you. We run background checks. You have to pass your background checks. Now, if you had, a criminal offense that was years and years and years ago,
Right.
well, then, we can certainly look at that. But you can't be on the central registry or anything.
Right.
You go through training. Now, our training is very flexible. If you can train in the morning or the afternoon or at night or on the weekends, we will work our training around your schedule.
Right.
Once you complete training, you get sworn in by the judge. All you need to have is a heart for kids, and we help you through every step of a case. We will go on visits with you. We'll go to court for you. If you want us to be your voice in court, we will speak for you. We write little reports to the judge. We will certainly sit down and help you with that, anything that a volunteer needs. So all you need is you do need to have a little bit of flexibility with your job.
Right.
So hopefully, if you work full-time, if you have a boss that'll let you off for an hour so you can go to court, court is typically only once every 3 months. So it's not real time consuming.
Right.
And really everything else that you do, visiting the children, talking to the parents, which we will, of course, go with you on that as well. But all of that you can take care of in the evenings or on the weekends or around your schedule.
If they want to reach out to you, how do they contact you?
Well, in Sevier County, they would contact you, Lisa.
Yes. My number is 870-582-3539.
I'm going to write this down, and we're going to post this on the podcast. Now, you said 870-582?
Yes. 3539.
3539, and we will get that up on there as well.
Wonderful. And if you're in Polk or Montgomery counties,
Okay.
please contact Cynthia or Renee.
Renee.
Yes, at 479-243-9277. Or you are always welcome to call me on my cell phone or text me anytime, and that is 479-234-8566.
8566. So the first number was 243 and the second number is 234.
Yes.
Okay, I wanted to
just to
make sure.
confuse matters. Yes.
Okay, very good. So you have a sense of urgency in Polk County and Montgomery County as well, correct?
Yes, you're exactly right. Yes. We have approximately, I think we have 24 children right now that are unserved in the 3 counties that we cover, and that is just heartbreaking. And it's heartbreaking. These children need an advocate helping them. Yes, and DHS has asked us to please get more advocates. They love CASA to be on these cases.
Sure.
We help them gather information. We ensure that these kids aren't falling through the cracks.
Absolutely.
And their needs aren't, being unmet.
You are their voice.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Yes. So it's one of those things where I like to sit down and visit with people because being a volunteer isn't for everybody. Some people know that it would be too emotionally difficult for them to do that. Yes.
But it's also emotionally traumatizing to the child not to have someone volunteer.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So we always explain to people that if they're not in a position to volunteer, there are lots of other ways they can serve our program. We need board members. We need donors, people that are willing to fundraise and gather backpacks and blankets and things that, we can go take to children to help them, because so many of these kids literally get removed from their home and their items are put in a trash bag. Right. And, you hear that term trash bag kids, it is accurate.
Yes.
That is exactly right. And if a child gets moved from one foster home to another, they show up with a trash bag and their stuff gets put in it. Can you imagine how that would make you feel?
Yeah.
You
All
already feel worthless and out of control. Yes, yes. And the biggest thing that I've heard kids complain about in foster care is feeling like they didn't have a voice. They had no control over anything that was happening to them. And we make sure they know we are their voice, and so is the attorney ad litem, and we are going to let people know what they want. Now, we may not always have the same recommendation as a child. A lot of children, the vast majority, want to go back home, no matter what the situation was at home, because that's all they know.
Absolutely.
And they love their parents no matter what. Well, we can't always recommend that, especially early on in the case.
Right.
But we let them know we were working towards that, and we still let the judge know. Susie really wants to go home. CASA can't recommend that quite yet because we feel like they need a complete rehab or, whatever the case may be. But we make sure the judge knows what the child's wishes are.
Great. You said board members. Tell me what that consists of.
We have board meetings typically once a month, sometimes every other month. They typically last an hour to an hour and a half. Our board of directors helps me run our program because we are a nonprofit. I'm the program director, or executive director is another title. The board helps me fiscally run our program. So my budget, I run past the board. If I need guidance on, I think I should hire more employees, or I feel like we should branch out and do something different in our program, it is the board that gives me direction. They help me to make decisions. They help me just to oversee our program in general. We have a wonderful board of directors with some wonderful people, but they're all in Polk County. And we don't have a voice on our board from Sevier County. We would love to have a board member from Sevier County.
Okay. How many board members are you looking for here in Sevier County?
Right now I have 8 board members. I would love to have 12. So if I could get, I'm sure I couldn't get 4 here, but if I could get 1 or 2 from Sevier County that were willing to drive an hour to Mena, we can on occasion hold our board meetings here as well. But if I could get them to drive to Mena to spend an hour with other board members and be that voice for the children in Sevier County, that would be wonderful.
And that's 1 hour a month?
A month, yes. Mm-hmm.
How about Montgomery County? Do you have any board members there as well?
We don't.
So if you could maybe get 2 from Sevier and 2 from Montgomery.
That would be wonderful. Ideal. Absolutely ideal.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's talk about what the local businesses can do to help.
You could support volunteer work from your employees. If you own a business, it would be wonderful if you would allow your employees to, not only encourage them to volunteer in their community, but allow them to take an hour off around lunchtime or in the morning to come to court or to attend a meeting at DHS. That would be wonderful. Also, donations. We're a 501c3. We fundraise and I write grants. I have to match my grants or I lose them. So I am required to do quite a bit of fundraising just to keep our doors open. So if you would be willing to make a donation or help promote our program or encourage your employees to volunteer and help locally or abused and neglected children in our community, all of those things would be a huge benefit to our program.
I own a business, so I'm going to start by donating today $100.
Wow.
And I hope that when the other businesses hear this podcast, they will join me. That is a step in the right direction in all of these counties.
Oh, absolutely. And that'll be a huge help to us as well.
And it's a tax write-off.
Yes.
So it's a win-win, and it's for such a great cause.
Absolutely.
And 100% of the proceeds goes to CASA and the children that are in need.
Yes, absolutely. 100%.
Let's talk a little bit about what the local churches can do, because I know a lot of times churches want to help. They're just not sure of what is required or needed of them. And I know that, you could, you need events to do fundraising. What type fundraising can either the community or the churches, businesses, whatever do that could help raise money?
Goodness. Anything from yard sales to bake sales to, holding a bike race, a run. We've discussed holding a
run.
Yes,
Yeah.
we've discussed holding a run.
I need to run.
Yeah. Yes.
And you
This
might
is
want to
the
do
runner
that
in the
before
group.
the hot summer comes on.
Exactly. And as
Yeah.
far as the churches go, boy, if you would allow us to come speak about the need for CASA volunteers and foster parents, Now, we don't recruit foster parents. It's not our job, but we're all in this together.
Absolutely.
And these are all God's children. They are. And I believe that we are all called to help them. I really do.
Right.
And so we've had a number of churches that have allowed us to come and speak and talk. We'll only take 5 minutes. We'll give a very short synopsis of what we do and then try to see if we can leave some brochures and we'll be out the door. Or we have some wonderful little brochures and cards that explain what we do. If we could leave them in your Sunday bulletin. Even if we don't speak, if you would just allow us to hand out some information on Sunday. That would be wonderful. Or show up on Wednesday nights or for a Sunday school class, if you would be willing to pass around and take up some donations for CASA to help some children, anything along those lines would be helpful. And then one of the things I didn't touch on, and I'll let you, Lisa, elaborate on this is a community with a lot of children that, a lot of families that don't speak English. We have a huge need for bilingual CASA volunteers.
Absolutely.
Yuliza's been such a benefit in that she is bilingual. She's been a wonderful asset to our program, and she's been able to help a lot of families and children. Just that there's that gap there because I can't speak Spanish, and I wish I could, and I wish I could communicate better with a lot of the families and children we work with.
So you're probably spread pretty thin.
Yeah, we would love to have more bilingual volunteers because, these kids need, for example, if we have a kid who's Hispanic, the culture is so different, and I feel like they would be more comfortable sometimes with somebody who knows their culture, knows,
speaks their language,
and all that kind of stuff. And so we really do need more bilingual volunteers, and that would be a great help.
And once again, this is not just Sevier County. This is Sevier, Polk, and Montgomery.
Yes.
Absolutely.
If any of the churches are willing, I will make sure that they have these numbers so they can contact both of you through your cell phones. Let's talk about the gift items, the backpacks and stuff that you can do. Kind of give me an idea. If they have their own backpack, so they're not carrying around a trash bag, what kind of items can they put in the backpack and give to CASA?
I encourage people, like for older kids, to give a journal. Kids like to write. And if they have gone through something, traumatic, it's a way for them just to kind of jot down their feelings. So for older kids, pens, journals, things like that. For younger kids, a coloring book and crayons.
Sure.
A blanket. You would be amazed how comforting a blanket is.
Sure.
And they
Security
can carry
blanket.
Yes, of course. And they can carry that with them.
That.
A special, pillow or a pillowcase. Say a pillowcase that we can put on a pillow for them, so you're not trying to put a big pillow in a backpack. Toiletries, a toothbrush, toothpaste, anything along those lines that can be theirs.
Right.
Also, a lot of times when children end up in foster homes, and not always, but sometimes the items at the foster home stay there. So when they get moved, they may not have a lot of their items that they feel like are really their own. Stuffed animals. Kids love stuffed animals.
Sure.
Even teenagers love stuffed animals, especially girls, maybe not boys as much, But anything along those lines that they can just take with them and that'll offer them some comfort, we love and encourage people to get. Another thing that we take up donations for, and these have been a huge hit, are like Beanie Babies and coloring books and items like that, because we will take those actually when we go visit kids, especially on that very first visit. Just take some little items that we can take with us, and it helps break the ice. Games, Skip-Bo and Uno, my goodness, those are such a hit with kids.
Really?
Oh, yes. We will show up and play these card games with kids, especially if they're younger. They really enjoy that. So anything along those lines, yes.
If you give them a backpack with the Beanie Babies and all that, and they leave the foster home, that gets to come with them, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So it's theirs. They can get
theirs.
Attached to their teddy bear, and it stays
Yes.
with them. That's very good.
Absolutely.
Is there anything that we haven't went over? I'm hoping that the churches and the some businesses can do bake sale, yard sale, anything like that within the community. Hot dog cook-off. There's so many things. Summertime's coming on.
Yes, absolutely.
This is the perfect time. You're holding a golf tournament, but by the time this podcast airs, it will be over with. But in Polk County, just recently, they did hold a yard sale.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Was that at a church?
The high school did it.
The high school.
Yes,
Oh, that's
the high
even
school
great.
students actually came up with the idea and decided they had actually asked me to come speak one time, and I went and spoke to a class at the high school. and that they were very interested in what I said, and they loved the thought of trying to help kids that they knew were struggling. And so these students actually came up with the idea of wanting to hold a fundraiser for CASA, which I thought was precious.
For it to be the kids' idea, that is.
Yes, I thought so too.
Yeah.
There's some good-hearted kids out there.
Oh, my goodness,
And
yes.
that want to help and mean well. So once again, you need CASA volunteers for court.
Yes.
You need board members. You're hoping to get at least 2 from Sevier County and 2 from Montgomery.
Yes.
And that's 1 day a month, 1 hour a month in Mena right now.
Yes.
Donations from businesses, volunteers,
Always, yes.
and some items. Other than the backpack and the teddy bears and stuff, are they in need of sheets or anything like that? Towels, sheets. I know
I'm
you
sure,
said
but I
pillowcases.
think it's actually foster parents that could really use things like that.
Right.
And I know the call is really getting up and started here. In Polk County, the call, which is Children of Arkansas Loved for a Lifetime, and it is a faith-based foster parent program. They are really good about embracing foster parents and trying to be their support emotionally and with meals or anything that they may need. And it actually is Foster Parent Appreciation Month. And I encourage people to reach out to your local foster parents.
This month is foster.
It is. And it's foster parents. I say all the time, I think there's a special place in heaven for them. I really do. They're wonderful, and they go above and beyond to help the kids. And, you could take a meal to a foster parent, buy them sheets or towels, take them some diapers, just show up and encourage them, pray with them. There's so many things you can do to support and help foster families. So the sheets and so forth, I think, are wonderful, but I would say that's more for the foster families because the kids never know from one home to the next what even size bed they'll be sleeping on.
Absolutely. And you're also asking churches to open their doors to let you come in and speak.
Please, we would love that. Yes.
Okay,
And
very
we won't take up too much of their time. Yes.
Okay. And plus, we need some bilingual.
Oh, yeah.
And you'll be right there by
Yes.
their side.
My office is actually located at the Senior Citizen Center by the park.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's where my office is at. If you just want to come and talk to me, I'll be more than happy to help you.
Are you there 5 days a week?
Monday through Thursday.
Monday through Thursday.
Yes.
From
Monday through Wednesday, I'm from 8 till 5, and then on Thursdays, 8 till 3.
So if they want to come and if they're not sure this is something they want to do, they're welcome
Yeah.
to come and talk to you about it.
Oh,
That'd be
absolutely. And we do not ever try to talk people into being a volunteer. Either you feel called to
Yeah.
do it or
Absolutely.
you don't. So I always tell people, please don't hesitate to call me. I'm not going to sit here and try to talk you into it, but I will explain what all is involved.
Right. Well, there's just so many ways that you need us as the community to step in and help. So whether it's volunteer, donate, there's just so many ways.
Oh, absolutely.
So you need us to just step up and help any way we can.
Absolutely. Just yesterday, I opened the mail and I received a $50 donation from a very sweet lady. She's actually a teacher. And she said, I am so sorry. I'm not in the position to volunteer right now. She said, but I really wanted to help. And she sent $50. And it just touched me so much. And it will be a huge help.
Yes.
Every single dollar helps these kids. So we so appreciate everybody.
If they want to mail a donation, where do they mail it?
They will mail it to 812 DeQueen Street, Suite G, Mena, Arkansas 71953.
812 DeQueen Street,
Yes.
Suite G.
Yes.
Okay. And that's made out to CASA.
Yes.
Very good.
And we so appreciate you allowing us to come and share our hearts and our program is something we are very passionate about.
It's my pleasure. I hope that this reaches a lot of people and businesses and churches, volunteers.
I'm sure it will.
I'm sure it will too. Thank you, ladies, very much.
Thank you.